So, we've been talking a lot about how we're adding intelligent video features directly into Streaming Engine. But equally as important is how we're enabling developers to integrate Wowza Streaming Engine with their own AI tools. And for that, today we're going to be talking about our Model Context Protocol Server for Streaming Engine, or MCP for short. All right, so MCPs have really exploded in popularity over the past few months. If you're watching this, there's a very good chance you're already using them or you've heard about them. We're not going to dive into the deep technical details today, but it's worth covering just the basics. So, simply put, an MCP is like a bridge that lets independent AI tools, so think applications, agents, and models, all talk to each other. And because they share context, everything works together as one connected system. So, in this way, our new MCP is letting developers integrate their own AI powered platforms with streaming video features using Wowza Streaming Engine. And when we talk about MCPs, there's really two parts to understand. First, we've got MCP servers. This is what's exposing an existing REST API in a way that AI tools can understand. And then we've got MCP clients, which use large language models to interpret natural language requests, the ones that you, the user, are inputting, and then communicating with the MCP server to produce a result. So, in short, MCPs are letting AI models understand how a platform works and what they can do with it. Okay, so that's plenty of background. Let's get started. Okay, so I'm using VS Code for demonstration purposes, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to clone the MCP Git repository, which is going to be available in the show notes. Okay, and the first thing we're going to do after everything has downloaded is we are going to look at the README, of course. So we're not going to spend too much time in here, but it is worth mentioning that we do need a Wowza Streaming Engine trial key, which can be attained again from the show notes. But you can sign up for a free Streaming Engine trial here, and we will send back an API key, which is required for running the service. So switching back to our README, everyone, please take a moment to read through the entire README. It has all of the information about running the MCP in various modes, and it has all of the instructions to set up your environment variables locally so that you can actually run the service. So for purposes of moving quickly, I'm going to go down to HTTP mode, which is what we're going to be running the server in today, and we're going to copy this Docker compose command. So I'm going to go to my terminal and we'll be running this. If this is the first time you've ever run the command, it may take a few minutes to actually compile, but once you've completed this, you will see the containers come up very quickly. So let's switch over to my Docker desktop. You can see we have all of these containers running, including Wowza Streaming Engine locally. We've got the manager, which is the Streaming Engine admin web UI. We also have an agent running, which is a web-based MCP client that I'm going to be demonstrating in just a second. And then we have the MCP server itself running in HTTP mode. Okay, so let's take a second to make sure that Engine is up and running. So I'm actually going to connect to Engine locally. And you have the ability to set the username and password when we create the container. All right, we can see that Engine is now running. And we have a few pre-configured applications, including Live, SimiLive, and VOD. I currently don't have any incoming streams, so just to fix that, I'm actually going to use OBS. Go into settings, and I'm going to send a stream to my local streaming engine. Start streaming. And now we can see that the stream is coming in and being transcoded. Okay, so now we're going to click over to Docker, and we're going to take a look at the web-based MCP client, which is running on port 3005. So this client is actually part of Google's Agent Development Kit. So we've got the Wowza Streaming Agent, which is being powered by an OpenAI model, and it's going to be able to connect to the MCP server and allow us to start talking to Wowza Streaming Engine. Okay, so we've specifically have asked this agent, based on the flags that we've passed in, that we want to be able to control and talk to the service about applications. So I can ask it things like, what applications do I have set up? Now the agent's going to interact with the MCP and come back with the answer. So in this case, it's found all three of the applications that we already talked about. So we've got the live application, SimuLive, and VOD. And I can additionally ask it things like, do I have any incoming streams on live? It's going to show me some of the calls that it's making, and it correctly comes back with the transcoded streams that we set up earlier. So now I can ask it things like, is my stream underscore 720p being recorded? And the agent correctly sees that it's not, and it'd say, please start recording that stream. Now the agent is actually stopping to ask me a few questions here. So it wants to actually confirm exactly how I want to record this file. And I'm going to say, please proceed. All right, as I go back to Engine and check, you can see that the 720p stream is now recording. Okay, not bad. That's a pretty good example of what's possible with an MCP server. So I have full interactivity between myself and my Wowza Streaming Engine just by chatting with an agent. But now it is time to get some real work done. And for that, we're going to need a code editor. So let's take a look at what VS Code can offer us, and let's do some real work. Okay, so heading back to our MCP server repository, in the README file, there is a section called Connecting External Clients. And specific to a code editor like VS Code, I'm actually going to need this information. So I'm going to copy this right now, and I'm going to head over to a brand new project folder that has nothing inside of it yet. And I'm going to add the MCP server to this folder. So Control-Shift-P or Command-Shift-P on Mac, and it'll bring up the command palette and you'll see options for MCP. In this case, I am going to do add server. And we are going to run this as an HTTP server. And I'm going to put in the address, which in this case, per the instructions in the README, is localhost 8002 MCP. That'll automatically assign a name, which is fine. And I'm going to choose to run this in my workspace only. So this is going to bring up information about the server itself and how VS Code is going to connect to it. And this is where I'm actually going to update with the information that we have in the README. One last thing that I need to do is add my actual secret key per the environment variable that I have set up. I'm not going to let you see it, no peeking. Okay, so I've added my key. And if I go over to extensions, I'll see under MCP servers that Wowza Streaming Engine is available. So I can start the server. And because we passed in the application flag, it is correctly finding 63 tools, which looks great. Now, if we want to actually talk to the MCP server through VS Code, I am going to use the chat window here, which brings up agent mode. So we're not going to go into extreme detail about agent mode, but it is effectively VS Code's MCP client, and it is powered by any number of large language models, which you see available here. So full disclosure, I have a subscription and I see more models than normal. So you can see I've got access to GPT, Grok, Claude, Gemini, etc. I'm going to leave it on GPT-4 just for demonstration purposes. Okay, so similar to before, let's make sure that this MCP client is working. What applications do I have in Wowza Streaming Engine? So the MCP client, sometimes it's going to ask for my permission to run automatically, which I will allow in this session. So it correctly finds that we've got live, SimuLive, and VOD. Okay, so I have been calling the agent here within VS Code and MCP client, and it's probably getting angry with me because there's a whole lot more that it can do. So in this case, we're going to ask it a few questions about Streaming Engine, and then we're going to develop an app. How do I push a live stream to Wowza Streaming Engine's live app? So it's giving me a lot of information here. So I'm going to tell it my server P is localhost. Can you create a Python app that will push a live stream to my live app? So you can see the agent has started to create files in my repository here. I have the ability to review them, which of course we go way back, so I'm going to allow it. And it's already created the Python file that's required here. So in this case, I'm reviewing some of the code. It is looking for a sample MP4. Luckily, I have one. And I have the ability to ask it questions as well. Things like, will this file loop? Please update so the file loops. Once again, I get the chance to review the code. And I will keep that. Okay, time to test it out. So I'm being asked if it can be allowed to actually push this file. I will allow that. And it looks like FFmpeg has actually started. And as I click over to Streaming Engine and I click on incoming streams, I can see that the streams are now coming in. And if I check the test player here, I can see that the video is actually streaming. So I could continue to build out this application for hours, and you can just imagine what we could build with the use of AI. So the ability to talk to Streaming Engine and the ability to interact with an AI, agent here, powered by any number of these LLMs, really is a powerful, powerful tool. And the last thing I'll mention before I end the demo today is that if in doubt, there is the ability to see the exact tools that are being sent in by the MCP. So for instance, with the application flag being sent in with Streaming Engine, these are all the different capabilities that we have available through the MCP. So thank you for watching today. This has been Wowza Streaming Engine and its new Model Context Protocol server. So really looking forward to folks getting their hands on this, and we're really looking forward to seeing what developers will build. So thanks again for watching.